Hello, everyone. Thank you for sharing your breath, your time, and your energy with me. I made this episode for you to help bring more structure and harmonization among the many different areas of your life. It's part of my purpose to share this to help you to find harmony and to achieve your dreams. And this episode is about winning your year, winning your day. I'm sharing pieces of my holistic alignment coaching system, which has 8 different dimensions, and it offers a scaffolding for you to plug in your dreams, your desires, your greatest love, and your values. And it'll act as an organizing principle to help you to prioritize what is most important and to see life from a bird's eye view, from the big picture. This system comes complete with a number of different, you can think of as internal systems or software programs that you can run in your mind to help your perception, to help your orientations, to attune you so that you can better attract in the circumstances and the people that you're looking to connect with. So this system is based on a number of different principles, and let's go over them. They go from 1 to 8. And each of the different principles, the dimensions of this practice, can be broken up into many different pieces. But we're going to start with number 1. And number 1 represents one love. Now, there's many things to unpack in your one love. And this is the most important part of the system in some sense. Because hierarchically, this is the primary orientation. Now, one love comes along with a set of ideas that you can follow in each and every moment. So let's go over those first. One love is the primary orientation for you to follow your passions. It's a phrase that's been spoken about in many different contexts and in many different ways. Follow your highest desire, your highest path, your highest excitement. Follow the path of love. This is the way. This is the first principle to act upon, and the second is to act upon it to the best of your abilities without expectation of the results. Now, this is really key. This is why I help people in one-on-one coaching, because it's often hard for us to see what we love and to pursue it, because we often want to pursue it if there's going to be a secure pathway to get there, or if there's some kind of certainty that we'll get a financial reward, meaning that it can be a pathway of us doing what we love and getting paid well to do it. And this is what prevents a lot of people from doing what they love, because they have an expectation of how it might look, or they want a certain result. And unfortunately, fortunately, this is not the way. This is not the way, because the pathway of the highest path here is not the pathway of certainty. It's built into this process, because if it were, then we would understand the process. And the very process of following your highest path is that your mind, your current mind and its limitations, cannot understand how it's going to get to the end, because you're not there yet. That's the whole part of the journey, is to not know how you're going to get to the end. If you did, it wouldn't be the exciting journey. It wouldn't be the highest path. So it's built into the very nature of following our highest excitement is the aspect of the great mystery or the unknown. So there is the process of following it, but we must follow it to the best of our abilities without the expectations as how that's going to look, without the expectation of being rewarded at the end, without the expectation for the fruits of our labors. Then we know, this is in some sense a calibrating device. If we're willing to do this, we've found something truly worth following. We found actually what we do love. Because if we're following a path and we need a certain amount of external reward to do it, it's not the highest path. When you found your highest path, your greatest passion, you'll do it because of the love for doing it is so much that you're willing to put aside comfort at many different levels, even basic securities, Now, each path is different for any individual. Not all path asks that we do that, but that's a great calibration point. So the first two principles in the one love structure is to act on your highest love without expectation. The third is to stay regulated and in a positive state. Now, this is really important because, once again, the very nature of this path is to bring up negative beliefs and limiting stories, negative stories and limiting beliefs. Now, these go together in many ways. And what this is the path of your highest love is simultaneously you showing up to the world in your authenticity. Because you showing up in your authenticity is you showing up as your true core vibration. It's your soul expressing itself without filter, without the perception and prejudices of the conditioning that many of us grew up in. Because many of us are acting from a place of conditioning, which is the not self, which is the personality that we inherited from our early childhood, from the society and from the parents that we grew up with. And this is not necessarily, there may be aspects of you that shine through and have always shone through, but many of these are conditioning. It's programmed ways of perceiving the world based on limiting stories and beliefs that have been ingrained from earlier experiences. Now, when you begin to act more and more from your authenticity and follow this path of highest excitement, you'll notice that you'll show up differently. You'll show up in an authentic way. There's not as much hesitation to share your truths. Your emotions can flow effortlessly and easily because there's no guarding as to how you should or shouldn't act. There wouldn't be a sense of embarrassment when you're acting from your true self. So our pathway of following our love is also the pathway of our self-realization. It's our spiritual process. There's so many things built into this pathway. And part of this is to stay regulated and in a positive state. And the nature of following the path, it will show you all the ways in which you're out of alignment with yourself. It will reveal to you your conditioning. It will reveal to you your limiting beliefs about what is possible. This could be related to, is this going to be financially viable? Because our self-worth and our net worth are very much related. So there's many things that are going to come up along your journey. So there's a continual process and need for a self-regulation. This is why I teach individuals not just the coaching structure, but a number of practices involving breathwork, yoga, and qigong, because there are many things, but there's systems of self-regulation. There's systems that help us to clear those negative beliefs. How does one clear a negative belief? There's many different ways. Here's an example of a technique. Find the negative story. Say it's the I'm not good enough story that many in our culture hold. Find out why you hold it. Where are its roots? Maybe it's from early childhood in the way that your father treated you. And then find out why you're holding that negative and limiting story. What are the negative emotions associated with it? And then understand the positives of holding this story and the negative belief. So the positives may be, in the given scenario that I've explained, that having a very strict father actually benefited you because it actually made you resilient in other ways. It helped you, it pushed you in some sense to go into sports, and you got really good at sports. So there's always positives that come from negatives because actually the world is neutral. And when we can be in neutrality or equanimity, equal parts positive and negative, we no longer stuck or held in the negative belief, because when we're in the negative belief and limiting belief, it seems to be the only way. It's got a stickiness. And that's an illusion. So when we're able to bring enough positive light into that understanding of that belief and story, what happens is our bias towards negativity begins to lose its hold, and we can easily see the positive and the negatives which gives us choice, which gives us freedom, which allows us to orient towards the positive. So it's not simply toxic positivity or denying negative things to try to think positively. It's actually a true seeing of the positive and the negative as equally valid, coming into neutrality, and then choosing the positive because it's preferable. Because from the empowered position of all things being equal, we can make that choice. So that's one of the techniques we can use to look at the negative beliefs and limiting beliefs that we have that prevent us from moving forward. And this could be related to limiting beliefs about finances, about not having enough time, about, oh, I couldn't do that, I'm not so-and-so, I'm not this and that, it takes too much schooling, how would I do this and that? We can deconstruct and reprogram all these beliefs. This is part of what I help people to do. And this is work that you can also do on your own. This is why I want to share a lot of this stuff online, because if someone is very self-governing and self-initiated, they can do a lot of this work themselves. It always helps to have someone to hold space. They can accelerate the process, especially if they've gone further than you, then they can guide you in that way. But it's good to be able to learn to do this system on your own, because ultimately that's my desire, is to teach people to fish instead of offering them fish. The more that I can help people to equip themselves with these systems as I've been taught these systems, then we can all be more and more empowered, and it can help more people. So we got steps 1, 2, and 3. We have act on your highest love without expectation. Stay in a regulated and positive state through breathwork, qigong, and yoga and other practices. And then the 4th step is monitor your beliefs. And we've kind of talked about that in some sense. So as you move into your limiting beliefs, as they come up and are perceived barriers along the path, to monitor them and to rewire them, to rewrite negative beliefs as you go. The 5th principle here is to be grateful. That one's pretty self-explanatory. In the act of it, expressing gratitude, opening your heart, recognizing what you already have. If you want more abundance, if you want more of anything, you have to first understand what you already have. Now, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bit kit is all part of One Love. So it's an 8-part system, and part 1 has 5 different parts in it. And there's more to it. So let's go into that. So the One Love is not just this, it's not just your love. In the concept of love is your purpose, is the Dharma or the universal order. You can also throw in there your highest value. I don't want to complicate things too much. There's 2 ways to use the One Love part. One is to use it in each and every moment. Because in each and every moment, you can follow that 5-part structure. If you have a spare moment, and we have many spare moments where we have choice in life, we can go, what's the most aligned action I can take that is in alignment with my heart? How can I pursue this without expectation? And doing so, how can I keep myself in a regulated state, monitoring my beliefs and maintaining gratitude or receptivity? And knowing and trusting that this will bring you into alignment with your purpose, because your purpose on some level isn't anything grand. It's really what you're doing in each and every moment, because my understanding of purpose is that our highest purpose is being. It's not doing anything like achieving great success in a certain field of business, sport, or what so have you. Each and every moment, the highest purpose is to simply be. Now, we feel that highest purpose of being most deeply, most totally, when we're acting in accordance with our highest love. Acting in accordance with our highest love will also put us in the highest level of harmony as we continue to do the work to deepen our understanding and awareness of what the essential nature of love is and how to attune to it and live in harmony with it. Another way of expressing that is living in harmony with the Tao, of the energies of yin and yang, of heaven and earth, and the realm of man. So there's a lot I could further unpack into One Love. One last thing I'll touch on is utilizing this system also has a longer term planning. So not just as a system of making decisions in the moment, you can develop your One Love. I give people a number of different questions which can help them to determine what is most important, what do they really love, because it's quite common for individuals not to know what they really love in life, not to know their greatest passion, not to know what gifts they have in this life, not to know what is most important to them. And this could be for many reasons. This could be due to an early childhood that didn't allow them the freedom to explore their individuality or have the freedom to try a number of things because they could determine what their gifts are and what they actually love. Or this could be that they found it, and somewhere along the way, society convinced them that they needed to get a safe or secure job, so they went to university, or they followed through in their father's footsteps of owning a sawmill or what so have you. So there's many ways that we can come in contact with our love and lose touch with it. There's a level of calibration that may need to be done in order to reconnect with that. The questions can help, but so too the practices of breath work and dance and qigong and art and many different methods of turning within, because the deep answers here that we're looking for aren't on Google. You may in some sense find them out in the world, as in maybe you go traveling and you find yourself, but it's always that you're finding yourself within. These deep questions of the One Love and really the whole system is built on things that you inherently know, but you can't always just immediately ask, oh, what's my greatest love? What am I meant to do in this life? They're deep questions, and sometimes the superficial layers of the mind prevent us from going deeper and being in commune and connection with the deepest parts of us, our soul, our purpose, why we came here. So it can be important to spend a dedicated time of introspection or soul searching. And that could be traveling, that could be the practices that I've just spoken to. But we can develop a so-called career or a business plan around what our One Love is, what our dream is. And there can be many dimensions in that. So within the One Love, we could have the idea of having a family and a community and how we want to live in the world, who we want to associate with. So we can explore that expanded version of One Love. And once again, the One Love is our primary orientation. It's our orientation for making decisions in the now moment. But we can also look to the future into what we desire to create. What is our highest fuck yes? So that's a little bit about One Love, an essential component to understand. Number 2 in the system of the 8-part system is 2 forces. There are 2 fundamental forces that govern all of reality's movements. In the Taoist system, these are called the yin and yang. One Love would be like the essential energy of the Tao, which is undifferentiated, is unified. And as the Tao splits into the 2 become the 3, and the 3 become the 10,000 things. The 10,000 things is basically a way of saying all things. All things come from the 1, they go into the 2, which go into all things. And the idea here we're speaking to is opposites, positive and negative, day and night. This is the idea that everything is a circle and it's always cycling between the 2 polarities. This can be thought of at the fundamental level of the atom, the proton, the neutron, and the electron. This is what makes our manifest reality, and this is our experiential reality. We move from happiness to sadness. We move from hot to cold. These are the moment-to-moment experiences that we have in this manifest reality. Understanding the two fundamental forces is our key to mastering this universe, this physical universe, to mastering our health, to understanding and living in harmony with the seasons and the cycles of life. The whole system of Chinese medicine is based off a number of theories, and I have two of them built into this system. One is the yin and yang theory, which I'm just exploring right now, and the other is the 5-element theory, which we'll get to when we get to number 5. For our present purposes, understanding the two fundamental forces here can be a check-in for you, once again, in each and every moment. Just like you can check in and make decisions off of your one love, the two forces is parasympathetic and sympathetic. Broken down, do I need energy or do I have energy to give? Depending on different parts of the day or the year, this is going to vacillate. But the fundamental question is there, and it's going to help us, once again, to make the optimal decision, to orient our actions and behaviors in harmony. If we need energy, we're going to use different parts of the system down the line to choose the right diet, movement activities, how we spend our time, how we spend our thoughts. If we have energy to give, okay, where can we channel it? What's most exciting? What can we do that's going to help us to move forward on our path of making happy, making joy in this life? Number 3, I'm going to introduce a number of different topics here. Part of this system, the 1 to 4, has the skeleton, though I've added a few pieces of Paul Chek's 1 to 4 system, including his 4 doctors, which is number 4. But in 3, he speaks about the 3 fundamental choices we can make. 1 is the optimal choice. This choice is what is best for us and for all parties involved in our dream team, or potentially all parties involved in the world. It's the highest decision. Number 2 is the suboptimal, which is usually just best for us selfishly. And number 3 is do nothing. Now, do nothing can be the optimal decision if we need to take time to make a decision before action, but doing nothing can also mean that we're in a period of stagnation. Also in the 3 is the notion of past, now, and future. In reality, there is only the now, but having orientation of where our mind is and where we've been spending our mind gives us more self-awareness. If we find we're very much caught in the past, we can look to the past or look to what we're thinking about. Is it positive or negative? What are the emotions associated with it? Because what often happens is when we're stuck in the past, we're ruminating from past experiences that haven't integrated or been complete in finding their wisdom. So they're polarized often towards a negative emotion, such as worry or sadness. And when we do, for example, the technique that I shared, where we can look back and find what the story is, find the positives and the negatives, we can release the polarization that is more contracted or caught towards the negative, and we can see the positive and the negative, which means we understand the knowledge or the multi-dimensional way of seeing that circumstance, and we can receive its wisdom. And if we've effectively done this, we can loosen our attachment to that story. Then we can use energy work practices to clear the negative emotion from the system, which allows us to come back to equanimity and neutrality in the present moment, and to release that negative story, seeing things from all perspectives the higher way, gaining that knowledge, which that energy, when freed up from releasing the negative emotion, can be put towards creating our goals and our dreams, and it can restructure or repattern the body-mind, creating new stories, new beliefs that are more harmonious, in a higher alignment to who we really are and towards our dreams, goals, and new understanding of life. So we always want to be oriented as best as we can with most of our energy, or all of our energy potentially, in the now moment. 3 also contains Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, which are the 3 phases of creation, maintenance, and destruction. Now, in some sense, these are all happening simultaneously, but sometimes we're going through phases. There are some parts of our life which are more destructive. We are destroying old patterns. We're calling in the Kali. We're releasing. Sometimes we're maintaining. We're in a pretty chill period of our life. It doesn't always last long. Sometimes we're in a creation period. We're giving birth to new things. Understanding and recognizing where we're at, once again, it's always bringing more self-awareness, which is a tool for us to know where we're at. These are all, in some sense, orientation devices. The more we know where we're at, the more choice we have. There's a number of different concepts in the 3 as well, but those are the primary ones that I'll share with us. 4 is the 4 doctors system and the 4 directions. The 4 directions being the indigenous medicine wheel. Without breaking it down in great detail here, I'll express that it is mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. These are, once again, orientation devices to check in on. How is the physical body? How's the mental body? How's the thought process? How are your emotions, which we'll talk a little bit more about in 5? And how's the spirit? Now, when I work with people, there's a number of different things I can do to further break that down and to help them to create more harmony among those areas in their life. But for now, I'm going to focus more on the 4 doctors. The 4 doctors being a part of Paul Chek's holistic coaching system: Dr. Quiet, Dr. Happiness, Dr. Diet, and Dr. Movement. So if ever there's an imbalance, he uses the 1 to 4 system, which would mean orienting towards your love, seeing what's out of balance in the mind, the body, the emotions, and the spirit, and then applying the 4 doctors system as a prescriptive medicine. That 1, these are your doctors, meaning, once again, just like my system, it's an empowerment system for you to work on your own, but it's also the system that he uses to help build his treatments, you could say. I don't know what he would term them in his practice. So Dr. Diet is all about choosing the right foods. It's pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to go too deep into that for right now. Dr. Movement is choosing the right movement practices. What I'll share off of that is, depending on where you are in the 2 forces, if you're needing energy or if you have energy, you would choose to do different movement practices. If you need energy, something like yin yoga, qigong, slow walking, those are energy building. They help you to cultivate energy. They take less energy. They give you more energy than they take. But if you have energy, sports, working out, these kinds of things are going to be beneficial for your system. Dr. Introspection, or yin management, we could call it. Dr. Quiet. It's about introspection. That's why I went there. Is how much time we're spending turning within, doing things that are yin. This could be the yin yoga, but it's also about self-reflection. In some sense, part of this system is a self-reflective system. It's about taking time to be quiet. Life is very stimulating. We're very busy in our Western world. So taking enough time for stillness, to allow the mind to not think so much, because thinking is yang, it's active. Receptivity and a state of being, not so much doing, is about introspection and Dr. Quiet. For example, if you have a big decision and it's hard for you to find clarity, there might be a bunch of stuck energy in the body, and that might be a good reason to do a bunch of movement to get the energy flowing. But generally, always, when we have our insight and revelation, it comes out of stillness. So a prolonged period of meditation or rest, relaxing, is often when we get our intuitive insights, because That's when the brain can integrate the movement and integrate the information that's already present, and it can, well, integrate it. It finds how to harmonize it in the system so that there's a kind of a new set point of what makes sense in the system. Dr. Happiness. Dr. Happiness is happy making. What makes you happy? Being in alignment with your core values helps to make you happy. What do you do that excites you? And this could be your one love, but it could be playing the banjo. Once again, it could be your one love, but making time to do that is built into the system. And this is the whole idea of holistic health that in many ways our medical system falls short on or doesn't incorporate to its loss. Because if we don't factor in us pursuing our greatest love and passion and purpose, and if we don't factor in that doing things that we love is an essential part of us being healthy, then we're missing a huge dimension of what drives motivation and what drives us to make good decisions and move forward. Because when an individual has a big enough dream and they have things in their life that really drive them, they're willing to change, which is the reason that most people get sick, is because of patterns that are out of harmony with the cycles of life, and they're out of harmony with that individual and who they truly are. And they get stuck there because often those patterns are giving them some sense of comfort, maybe numbing, and they get stuck there and they don't want to make the change, because in order to make the change, they'll have to feel what they've been avoiding. And the control patterns, which are those activities or addictions that are in place that are causing the imbalances, are there. And the willingness to do that comes from the desire to move forward, to evolve. And the pursuit of a dream that's worth pursuing is the fuel that gets people past those blockages. This is why Dr. Happiness and following your one love is so important. 5 is 5-element theory from traditional Chinese medicine and medical Qigong. It's a expansive and developed system. In brevity, why I teach this is that our organs and emotions are interrelated, and in their system they connect where we hold certain emotions, or where we process them, at least in the organ systems or energy body. And what the value is here is more self-awareness. Once I started integrating this aspect into my practices of checking in with the 5 negative emotions, anger, sadness, anxiety, worry, and fear, on a regular basis, I became much more aware of how often I was falling into these emotions then, more and more unconsciously. And I could see with greater detail the limiting beliefs associated with them, because we don't just have negative emotions, we have thoughts and beliefs, and from those beliefs we experience the emotion. So there's layers to understanding cause and effect and why we feel the way we do. And the more we follow this path, because I mentioned it's not only the path of your greatest love, but also the self-realization path. We're also looking to become more conscious. And by becoming more and more aware of negative emotion, how to work with them and clear them, and the limiting beliefs, it's the pathway to becoming more aware of the not self and the true self. Built into the system that I teach people is a number of different methods to identify negative emotion and clear them. One of those practices is the 6 healing sounds, which is a way of moving energy out of the 5 yin organs associated with those 5 negative emotions to identifying limiting beliefs. For now, just know that along the pathway, as I've mentioned, you're going to encounter your limiting beliefs, your limitations of mind, and the old emotions that are associated with the old self that is dissolving as you continue to move forward to the true self, the illusionary self of the ego. And the ego structure is very much a mental, energetic matrix that attracts negative emotion and has stored negative emotion because of those past experiences. So the more that you can understand how to work with negative emotion, you understand that it's a normal and natural part of life to experience negative emotion, just like it's a normal and natural experience to have pain. Pain teaches us don't touch that. Negative emotion teaches us where we're out of alignment and how we can recalibrate. So building a good relationship, a positive relationship with negative emotion is what neutralizes it, is what allows us to learn so that when we touch a hot stove, we go, ouch, that's hot. And when we have a negative emotion, we go, hey, I shouldn't be doing this. My body is telling me. And then emotions aren't this horrible thing that we have to go through. They're a positive thing. They are a benefit and they have wisdom. And we can neutralize them, and then they're not really a cause for repression, which leads to all kinds of imbalance in the physical and energetic bodies. 6 has a number of different components. One of them is the 6 foundational principles of holistic health: breathing, drinking, eating, moving, sleeping, and thinking. Now, there are some parts of this system which are overlapped, so I don't always use the 6 foundational principles because we talk about a lot of those different areas in other parts of the system. But the 6 foundational principles are amazing if you want to find greater health, greater energy levels, healing yourself of imbalances at a practical level. Almost anyone can write down those 6 principles and write down 1 or 2 things that they can do in the week to help to improve them. Breathing. Spend, 10 breaths twice a day if you're not already doing that, and that'll help your life tremendously. Assure that you're drinking enough good, clear, clean, healthy water. A good way to look at that is 0.033 times the amount of kilograms that you weigh is the amount of liters you should drink to help to keep your body vital, hydrated, and the best solution for pollution is dilution, as Paul Chek would say. Eating, try your best to eat most of your food organic, eat whole foods, non-GMO, non-polluted, no pesticides, no herbicides, no rodenticides. Eat in accordance with the seasons and eat in accordance with your body's needs. Moving, use movement intelligently. Understand where you are. Do you need energy? Do you have energy? Pause that one because I'm going to talk about the 6 zones in a second here because it's part of 6. And we'll go to thinking. Think positive thoughts. Be aware of your thoughts. This is where the belief structures and the limiting stories are going to come up. The more awareness of thought you can have, the more self-awareness. A great process for understanding and seeing your thoughts, because often they run quite subconsciously if we're not paying attention, is meditation. Mindful observation of the thought process without engaging with it. And sleeping. Do your best to get the standard 7 or 8 hours. Yes, there are a few variations for some individuals, but for the most part, most individuals need 7 to 8 hours, avoiding bright lights and having a period before bed where you can rest your mind so your mind sleeps deeply. 6 zones. As I mentioned with the moving, there are 6 major zones which correlate with the 6 chakras that are in the body. The zones of the body are the legs, the hips, the core, the chest and arms, the neck, and the head. These zones all relate to hormone and glandular centers, so the endocrine system. And they're a great way for assessment and diagnosis. There's much more than I'm going to explain here, but if you have an imbalance that you notice at any one of these levels, say it's in the abdomen, there's a number of different nerves and endocrine glands, and when we get to the chakras, there's a number of different psychological concepts associated with different parts of the body-mind complex. So if you have an imbalance at a local region, this gives you information that you can further assess yourself for, or work with a qualified practitioner such as myself or a Czech practitioner who can help you to gain a deeper understanding of what mental, emotional, and physical imbalance may be showing up at these multiple levels, so that you can get to the root cause of what's happening and not just the symptoms which could show up at any one of those levels. But we always want to get at the most fundamental cause of the imbalance at the energetic level. And then 7 is the 7 chakras. I've spoken extensively about these in many different podcasts. In brief, we've already talked about the 6 zones. 7 is the 7 chakras. There's one chakra that is not in the body, but they all relate to mental, emotional, and physical aspects. So I'm just going to do a very brief overview. Chakra number 1, the root chakra, associated with the legs, is associated with your security, your tribe, and your connection to the earth. So if there's any imbalance in this region, you might have shaky legs. You might constantly want to lock your knees. If there's financial fear, this part of your body may go off. It's also associated with the kidneys and the adrenals, and that makes a lot of intuitive sense, right? If you don't have good finances, you're going to be stressed. You're going to have high cortisol, and this is going to affect your body, your nervous system, and many other areas. Second chakra is related to your relationships, one-on-one relationships in particular, sexual relationships, emotional relationships, and emotion, expression of emotion, and creativity. The third center is related to your core. It's related to your empowerment, it's related to your personal code of honor, so your capacity to have virtues and values and stay in integrity with yourself. So when you're out of integrity with your values and virtues, you may not have confidence in yourself, and this will reflect in your core, and your solar plexus might become sensitive, and a number of other imbalances may be associated. Fourth chakra, related to giving and receiving love, the area of the chest, the thymus. This area is related to forgiveness and the heart field. The heart field is something that is an electromagnetic field that extends several feet in every direction around the body, but in true essence, the heart sends out an electromagnetic pulse with every beat that goes at the speed of light in all directions and is connected to all beings at all times beyond time and space. This is why you can feel those you love. And sometimes you may have had the experience that you feel somebody you love is sad, or something has happened to them even before you find out in the three-dimensional world, because of this heart coherence. Heart coherence is also related to our one love, as the heart is a compass, a true north compass towards our deepest soul's desire. In the Qigong system, they say the spirit lives and is housed in the heart. The fifth chakra is related to communication, expression, and it's another center of creativity as well. It's related to our truth and our higher will, related to the parathyroid and thyroid gland and the throat space. Sixth chakra is related to our intuition, our higher mind, our lower mind, our thought process, as well as our pituitary gland, the master gland, related to the head, particularly the forehead. And the seventh chakra, Sahasrara, is related to our connection with the all, connection with the great Tao, with the dissolution of the ego. So ego consciousness really blocks us off from being in the seventh chakra. And when we allow ourselves to be a clear channel for love and light for our soul and for the light of the Creator to shine through us, this is when the seventh chakra is most active and we're in connection with our cosmic body and cosmic intelligence. And the final part of the system is 8. Now this is something I borrowed from the 8 limbs of yoga. By the way, you'll see there's so many systems in here. One is Paul Chek's. There's 2 from traditional Chinese medicine. There's the indigenous medicine wheel. There's the 7 chakras. And the 6 holistic health principles is from Paul Chek. Oh, pardon me. There's one more from 6 that I want to mention. There are a bunch more in all the other sections, but the one from 6 I want to mention is that I help people by getting them to orient towards a primary or highest value. And your primary highest value is often the theme of your life. And yes, we can explore multiple themes and change our theme, but often we come into this life with a primary theme. My identified highest value is harmony or balance, or balance, which means, and this is true for you and for everyone, your primary theme presents you with your primary obstacle in some sense. So because my primary theme is balance, I'm always going out of balance. It's a primary theme. So my work is always to find ways to find greater harmony and balance. Hence why I created this system and I work with it. So if your theme is authenticity, there will be many times in your life in which you are being inauthentic, and your process in life is often about finding greater and greater authenticity. So understanding and identifying our primary value and the theme of our life can be very important. But I also get people to identify 6 other parts or other values and virtues. Actually, virtues goes with the 5 negative emotion. I'm not going to go back there now. It's just too many things now. Too many things. And 6 is our 6 virtues. So the primary ones that I work with and have been working with the longest are discipline, purity, equanimity, self-study, surrender, and humor. And these are things that I can look to at the end of my day and then set as an intention at the beginning. Probably should have said that the other way. Set at the intention in the beginning and act on them to the best of my abilities. And at the end of the day, I can see where I was in or out of alignment, and I can clear that at the end of the day, so I'm not holding a charge in that, which means I can rest more deeply and integrate more fully. But it can use it because our values and our virtues are ways in which we evolve. They help to grow us. Having a high value of love and compassion is something, it's an ideal that we can aspire to, that we can grow into. It sets a standard. Okay, now we can jump to 8. 8 is the 8 limb system of yoga, and I'm not going to go over the full system, but the main idea here that I want to point to is that I've expressed this system kind of clumsily and all over the place, but that's life. So the system started with our one love. We have the 2 forces to keep in balance, the 3 choices that we can make. And then we have the 4 directions and the 4 doctors. We have the 5 negative emotion, 5 main organs. And then we have the 6 holistic health principles and our 6 virtues, the 7 chakras. What are we going to do to help keep us in good alignment? Well, we want to orient towards what we've identified as important as our highest values and our greatest love. And we want to use practices to help to regulate our mind to create one-pointedness. Because in some sense, we want to keep ourselves in a self-hypnosis. We want to stay steady in our mind on our goals and our dreams because the world is very distracting and many people want our attention and our energy. So the more that we can anchor our own awareness and attention on the goals and dreams that are most representative of our greatest love, which is most reflective of who we truly are, then we can make our way through the world, making these decisions and living an empowered life. Now, the practice of the 8-limb system of yoga has within it the yamas and niyamas, and in some sense, the niyamas are the 6 virtues or values that I've already expressed. The yamas is the moral conducts, not lying, telling the truth, using your energy well, not coveting. Don't remember which ones I've already said, but you get the idea. There's a number of different moral and ethical components, and I'm not asking all my clients to use the same virtues and values and ethical considerations that I am or the systems that I use, but having some moral or ethical framework in there to which you can determine what is most reflective of the values that you hold is important, because I haven't seen a single spiritual system or developed system of internal engineering that doesn't have this component, because it's a part of who we are. And if we're not consciously making a decision, our conditioned patterns that we were born with are going to be the ones in the system, right? So the more consciousness and determination we can add, then we can direct our evolution in a way that's most fruitful for us. So that's the yamas and the niyamas. And then the system builds into asana, which is physical practice, breathwork practice, pranayama, and various methods of turning the senses within, concentrating meditation in a state of absorption called samadhi. I'm not going to get to samadhi, but the basis there is we want to move, meditate, and breathe, because these are things that we have access to in each and every moment, which can help to empower our mind and our concentration, which can help us to regulate our system so we can maintain that positive state. We can move out of conditioned responses and reflexive behavior and move more into responsibility, the ability to respond because of our stable, steady, and energized presence through our meditation practice and process. So that's the whole system. There are more parts that I could express and talk about, and I don't want to overwhelm people, and I don't want people to think that they have to use the whole system in its entirety, because it's very extensive and it takes a lifetime in some sense to integrate, which is what I'm working on. But it's good to have this overview and to do a scaffolding fill in at some point and to recalibrate. So when I use this system on a daily basis, I don't go through the entire thing like that, because that's just a waste of time. But I use a number of different shorter systems based on my needs and my alignment, because I use this as an energetic alignment or attunement system. When I go through the full thing, it adjusts my vibration and my mind, so I'm oriented towards all of these things and what is most important. And then I'm using, say, just the first One Love 5-part system of following my greatest excitement to the best of my ability, regulating my state, and then giving gratitude as a daily moment-to-moment experience. And then when I'm getting offbeat, when I feel out of alignment, I might go deeper into the system to find greater harmony or to see what's out of alignment. Oh, I'm exhausted. Okay, let's break it down. How's my breathing, my moving, my thinking, my sleeping, etc.? And this allows me to be my own doctor, to be my own psychotherapist, to be my own guru, to be my own business coach. The whole system is based on this empowerment. So I hope it was helpful for you to hear this and reflect on some of the components and how this could help you in your life. I have a number of different free forms and sheets which give this scaffolding so you can write these things out. And I'm working on a number of other ones that expand each of the individual components. And I'm going to make a series of videos that go with it so that you can go through this whole system on your own and adopt it into your life. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, reach out. Sending love and good chi for your path. Aya Om.